says I'm streaming. But is it streaming to YouTube? A different title here. Can't have two streams at once. Okay. Seems like I'm live here. Let me get rid of this one. Okay, I ended the first stream. Oh, okay. Well, looks like this is working now. Okay, I don't have a I mean, I can get the webcam, but I don't feel like setting it up right now. Alrighty. Oh, what's up, Raph? I mean, Aurovian. I just figured out how to screen share a live YouTube video. I got it connected to OBS. So, looks like it's working now. So, I might as well pull up something from the Tesla meeting, and we can talk a little bit about what was on there, and I can look at my notes a little bit and just kind of go through it. So, kind of first thoughts after seeing it were that, well, the negative tends to stand out, right? You know, people remember negative things. Happy things, whatever. That was nice, but it's really terrible shit I have to worry about, right? So, the negatives that stand out to me, unfortunately, are that the Cybertruck confirmed that it originally we thought maybe the end of this year. Now it's the end of next year. That's new. People were thinking maybe they would start the Cybertruck early next year. Then it was like maybe second quarter, maybe second half. Now it's the end of next year with volume production in 2023. So that kind of sucks for people waiting for their Cybertrucks, but people were already starting to expect it. It makes sense with the supply chain issues going on now, and I guess maybe it was just a little too ambitious with the timeline, and they have their hands full with just 2 new factories coming online basically right around now. They're going to produce some vehicles this year in both Austin and Brandenburg, Germany. And then they're going to be the hard task of ramping up their production lines for all of next year, and they're starting with the Model Y. So it makes sense. They're really not going to start with their Cybertruck until they've got their ramp mostly on the way for their Model Y SUV car. And then they start to make more batteries because that didn't fly off their assembly line either. Like, they've got a good amount stockpiled, and so they've because initial production is going to be slow. Elon was saying they have enough batteries from their pilot plant, which is quite large in California, to supply the Austin Gigafactory initially. But they also floated that they have the old cells as a backup, and that wasn't an investor question. I wish that was an investor question. Was, do you still anticipate that all the new Model Ys built in Texas are going to be using the new batteries, the 4680 batteries, and will they be using the structural battery pack? That didn't come up. He also dodged like the Model 2 question by saying, "Oh, it's not the Model 2." Okay, fine, we know you're not going to call it the Model 2, but then he didn't answer, when's it coming? He totally dodged that. I was like, come on, but when was the frickin', answer that frickin' question? But no. So yeah, that's not clear. That's not clear. But from what he said, he implied that they would be supplying 4680 cells for the Model Y, for the new Model Ys out of Texas, but they didn't bring up Germany at all. So does that mean they're also going to ship out? Are they going to ship batteries on all the way to Europe for the Germany factory for the new Model Ys there? Maybe they don't do that now. Maybe they don't do that now because they don't have enough of them yet. Maybe that's why he only mentioned Texas. So maybe the 4680 cells only go to the cars in Texas. And what do they do for the Germany cars? I mean, they don't want them to be seen as inferior, but I would think, it's a bit of a, gamble because it's new cells, could have some quirks, could have some issues that could burn. Early adopters always get screwed over in a lot of cases because you're trying out new stuff. It's more expensive. They don't work out the problems yet. Then again, or the batteries could be way better right away, and it turns out they last longer and they degrade slower and they charge faster and all this stuff. Maybe they don't offer all that right away, and they unlock it with software, things as they are able to test it kind of slowly out in the field in stealth mode, and then they unlock the capabilities that those batteries have. And they can also use that as a strategy to balance out the features between cars coming out of different factories. But that's a possibility. It's pure speculation at this point. But just basically, he said that 4680 cell production will be volume next year, which makes me think the end of next year. About time the Cybertruck is ready to go. They need to have tons of batteries ready for that, especially for that to hit its price point, which is looking pretty cheap now with all the recent price increases to the Model 3s and the Model Ys. They just went up another $2,000 for the Model 3 because those things are sold out months in advance. So you can't even get one for, 3. What are we at? It's next year on a lot of the models now. So that's 5 months, 6 months back order, and they raise prices a little bit, but it's like, I guess I was a little pissed that they're raising prices. As someone who wants to buy a Tesla, obviously you don't want them to make them super expensive, but I'm going to bring up my, can I just pop out the chat? I should be able to just pop out the freaking chat, right? I'm sure there's a way to do that if I can. Pop out chat. Pin chat. Great. Okay, now I can see chat separately. That's good. Back to Tesla Investor Relations. And I can keep up chat. Actually, I have a second monitor. But I don't know if I want to go to the rabbit hole to send that up. I just got the stream working with one monitor, so, I am totally ready to start fucking around and get the second monitor up and try to put my my chat on there. Oh, you know what? I will just put the chat on my second monitor. You people don't have to see it. You people being your one viewer right now, yeah. And I'll just be able to see chat. And that'll probably work out better. Interesting. My second monitor is getting mirrored right now, and it usually doesn't, so wonder if that's OBS's fault or what. Alright, well, either way. It works. So, I will respond to chat, which is currently a chat of one. But I'm also going to talk about Tesla stuff because this is going to be recorded. So, I'll keep going with that. And I have given out this channel info to some people I know, and they'll also see what I talk about. For friends, that's cool. For maybe some other people, I might start up a new channel. Anyways, let me not show my email. Let me go back to the press release and all this stuff. What do we got? Other documents and events. Annual report and webcast. I mean, I could go through what they voted on. That stuff's kind of boring. It was a lot of activist stuff, and it was some years that a director should be on the board before they have to vote. That was basically it. More diversity and more reporting, stuff like that. Yeah, probably. Editing live is a little tricky, though. I'll see how I do that. Whatever. Yeah, that was it was a little bit of an issue there. Well, I'll figure that out afterwards if I have to delete this or if I can just edit that out. Either way, I'll go whichever one's necessary because it's not a big deal either way. So yeah, it was mostly about that with what the actual shareholder, like the voting part of it. And after that was the Elon just talking, giving a presentation. Let me bring this over here. So what's a couple points? This has been said before, but Elon basically reiterated that he expects. I forget if it was. I think it was talking about the Model Y. He was like, right now it's the best selling, in some category, and then 2023 it's going to be expected to be the top selling by revenue in the world of any car. So if you do some math, you can look at whatever the top selling car by revenue is now. It's probably some Toyota. And you could look at the price that you expect the car to be, work backwards, and you can get like a sales number or like a delivery number that he expects out of that to get a number there. But, it's probably going to be around with what they guide, which is like 50% a year growth, although this year it's nearing 90%, and they're gonna be over that for the next couple years because of 2 new factories coming online. So that's gonna make a big difference. I want my MTV. Yeah, he mentioned that like solar roofs are been lagging, and they're like starting to get more batteries and focus on solar roofs more. And he mentioned that he's like, I'm dating myself, but remember that I want my MTV thing? It's like it's going to be like I want my solar roof thing. And I kind of remember this, but I haven't listened to this a long time. I want my MTV. It's so old. This is like parodies or like what's coming up here. Rec Room, this is like a little Lego version of this coming up with the I want my MTV. Oh, it's from Money for Nothing, right? Okay. So that's what he's talking about. Oh, that's why this is the first result here. You know what sucks? I probably can't freaking play this song. I mean, I kind of want to anyways. I don't care if it gets taken down, so I'm just going to play it. All credits to right here, Dire Straits, Money for Nothing by Destin De Silva. You know, proper credit to the album Brothers in Arms, etc., etc. Licensed to YouTube by these people, as you can see. All rights to them. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, let's listen to this song. Did he say MTV yet? I want my... We don't know what he wants yet. Oh, there it is. MTV. He really wants it. He really wants it. It's like, touches my soul the way this guy seems to want it. Wow. That's beautiful. MTV. This is high art. Avant-garde music right here. Does he love MTV this much? Or it's always the opposite of what you think with songs. So maybe he actually hated MTV, but he made a song because it's like Money for Nothing. This part's awesome though. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
Look at them yo-yos, that's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV.
Let's see what we can deconstruct this. Yeah, they ain't dumb, yeah. Oh, okay. So that's a big downside. You might get a blister. You might get a blister, but you get paid some good money for playing on MTV. I mean, it's just fucking technology, dude. I mean, you're playing live. You use cars to get around, right? And you do live venues. I mean, if you were fucking the settler time and they had horses, they would be like, oh, look at this fucking guy using a car to get around. You're gonna maybe sprain your ankle pushing down the gas pedal to drive to your next concert, why don't you jump in a covered wagon and take horses over there, man? Take some oxen, you know? So, that's my off-the-cuff reaction to this guy. Kind of feels like he's shitting on people or making money from playing music on MTV. And that didn't even last. Like, that wasn't the final, you know. It's evolved. It's kind of sad because now it's all like Spotify and stuff. And music videos aren't really that popular anymore. Maybe that's just because they're making less money, so they can't afford, you know, for video production costs a lot of extra money. If you don't even bother with video production and you're getting paid little money for your audio, for your song on, you know, Spotify or whatever, they don't even play video. You don't want to invest extra money into making a music video. But that was a thing with MTV, which was cool. So, you know, I don't know if this guy helped fuck it over. If he did, then, you know, screw you, Dire Straits. You know, because MTV was pretty sick. What do we got now? There's no equivalent. There's just people on their phones. So, whatever. I was already playing it, so I'll let it be the background music, I guess. Q&A. So what do we got? Annual report and webcast. So the video. I mean, where's the freaking PDFs, man? Where's the materials? Impact report, blah, blah, blah. I probably just have to refresh this. Where's the shareholder deck? What's going on here? What is this? Is that coming out later? The earnings date is still in the future? We got the deliveries, but we don't have the earnings yet. Even though we had the annual shareholder meeting. Is that what they're doing to us? Is this what they're subjecting us to? Jesus Christ, Tesla. Jesus Christ. William H. Macy, Tesla. Yeah, exactly. If you have new money, money being poured into filmmaking for these music videos, and it's like highly creative and avant-garde, yeah, you can get awesome directors getting started, and they move on to making movies. Alright, I know what this is. This is reverse psychology. You're gonna get me to, you want me to make up a German accent on the spot, which, you know, I could do, but, you know, the stuff that pops up with Germans can be a little dicey, I might start saying some dicey things. So I'm not going to go for that. Yeah, you would find that offensive, don't you? Yeah, you would, yes, because you're good friends with someone I played a D&D game with, and he found a similar thing very offensive. We must make the car. The EV must lookin like it. Must lookin like it. I don't know why I'm doing looking like it. I mean, like Germans, like this. They have this like Achtung. And then it goes into Austrian, which is Arnold. Like, do it! Get to the Tesla! Make a franc! Don't put the engine there! You don't want to put your inverter, and people want a trunk for more space. And instead you don't make that, and you think that's an EV? It's terrible. I'd rather have a tumor. So, I guess we don't have the earnings, which are going to be good, because they're making more deliveries and their profit margins are going up. So I guess we got the impact report. Wait, where did... They really didn't give us any of that stuff yet? Yeah, we don't have any of that stuff. Impact report, that's all TBD. He showed some stuff. I think he had it in front of him during the live video, but at least the impact report. They did an extensive one recently, but... Yes, this is just pub, production deliveries, lease accounting. Yeah, they just started to make some models S and X's. This is for the quarter. I mean, so this is what's cool, that they're making over 225,000 Model 3s and Ys per quarter, 4 quarters in a year. It's over 1 million cars a year, so that is a cool landmark. And they said during the presentation that they're aiming for 20 million cars by 2030. So that's a 20x, 20 times their current production in 10 years. That's a pretty quick growth, pretty fast growth. There's a lot of stuff like Elon is so straightforward with how he talks about things, and people think that some people don't trust him, that his motives are genuine for, sustainable energy, and that he's not about the business side of it and just making money. I do believe that that is secondary to him. It is in the back of his mind, and it does factor into his decisions because it has to work out in reality. But I do buy into that is his primary goals, are these kind of idealistic ideas that he just wants to bring into reality. And yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. This is about Tesla. This is what the video is about. I'm talking about Tesla. Although if you bring up an interesting topic, I will address it. If you have a chat audience request, feel free to put it forward. But I do, I do believe that he does. I do buy into that. That's his primary kind of thing. And but the good news is, for people who are all about making money in the stock, if you do reverse engineer a lot of the stuff he says, it is exciting bullish stuff for just making money, because the stuff he's targeting, it has to make a lot of money to work. So like autonomous driving, they're going to solve autonomous driving, and they said they're opening to licensing it. Is a good sign, because they can make a boatload of money on that. Oh my God, that will be lucrative for them to sell Tesla self-driving to other companies. I have seen Doom Patrol. I haven't finished the first season on HBO Max. Yeah, and I like that it has Brendan Fraser in it. I was sad when he disappeared for a while, so that was one of the draws to get me into that. And that it was like an off-brand kind of funny thing. And yeah, that is pretty good. And they just released a new season, so there is kind of a lot to go off of. I mean, you have a lot of episodes ahead of you, which is nice. So I think I stopped in the first season, but I have been hearing about it, so I'm gonna go back to it. Yeah, pretty cool overall, pretty funny, kind of wacky ideas. But there was probably a reason I don't recall right now, which is why maybe I didn't finish, because I don't think I did. Um, but hopefully it picks up off of that, and that series is really good in the second season. And I think it has a chance to because it probably got a lot of popularity in the first season, so they might have more money for the second season. Whoever knows what happens with writers and directors and all that behind the scenes stuff makes a big difference. Just like at Tesla, where the team and the talent they hire and the processes, and there's all these little details that make a big difference in the performance of the business. Um, yeah, you are waiting for. You have a used Tesla, a long range Model 3, and you want to. You were seeing that it's holding up its value pretty well, especially now, and you want to trade it in for a newer Tesla, which has dual motor. I have heard that the dual motors last longer because they basically it's half the strain on a motor because you have two motors powering the vehicle instead of just one. So they share the load essentially, and besides the traction control and all the acceleration and good stuff, safety and stuff. I don't know how often Tesla motors wear out. I'm guessing it's not that often, but it does happen from what I heard. Rich Rebuilds is good to check out on that. Although he has a lot of biased stuff against Tesla, which is over the top. But he has some mechanics because he has a shop and they have worked on Tesla. So I do like to hear about real problems that they've had with Teslas that they've brought into the shop. And in some cases, they're able to do battery replacements for cheaper because Tesla service will only replace the whole battery pack. And this independent shop is willing to open up the pack and replace parts of the battery in the hopes that just those being replaced, is cheaper, and the rest of the modules don't then go bad and cause the same problem again. If they don't, then you saved a lot of money. If they do, then you kind of maybe wasted money. But they're able to get you running again for much cheaper. And yeah, I mean, and if you are looking to upgrade now a Tesla, you got a Tesla secured waiting for you. That's pretty hard to get right now. So if you don't get that locked in, that Tesla, it's going to be very hard to get any Tesla anytime in the near future, except maybe like a Model S Plaid. You might get a little faster, but yeah, any Model 3 or Model Y. If you don't follow through on your reservation, those things are going to be back ordered for quite a while, which is good. Demand is high for the cars, but I guess it's going to be a little bit before the new factories start making a dent in things, and as chip supply and supply shortages slowly ease away in the next year, hopefully. But there's still a lot of unknowns with the global supply chain and the economy. So, not a sure thing. That's the hope, though. No one can say the future for sure, but that is the hope. Yeah. Yeah, Mach-E demand. I like. It's funny because Mach-E, Ford, they talked a little shit to Tesla in a tweet. They picked out, I think, actually, Tesla had a couple, or maybe only one car where the kind of gluing process of the glass roof wasn't done very well, and it flew off some car on the highway and they lost it, and so Ford jumped on that in the news, and the news jumps on everything wrong with Tesla, of course. So Ford jumped on that. It's like, we have high quality, we do things very high standard. That will never happen with us. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks ago, that same exact thing happened to them. Turns out that, hey, they don't make a lot of all glass roofs, and since they're trying to copy Tesla and everything as best as they can with their crappy minds and bureaucracies, they're not great at gluing in those glass roofs either, because they had a couple fly off and some recalls that they called in. Not to mention Chevy Bolts are all recalled officially now at this point because they were all lighting on fire because they used inferior battery design, and they were like, oh, yeah, just park away from 60 feet away from anything else because your car could light on fire. So that's it. It's fine. Easy. No one minds just parking far away from anything flammable. Don't park in your garage. Something all car drivers can live with. But yeah, demand is high. Mach-E, I think, from what I've seen, the kind of engineering behind it is probably the second best right now. I don't know. Maybe Hyundai Kona looks somewhat interesting as well, but that wasn't purpose built. Although the Mach 3 wasn't exactly built from the ground up that well either. They're sharing a lot of like part bin parts. Yeah. Yeah, Tacoma recalls. But, I mean, a recall is good and bad because at least they're fixing the problem, right? And you don't have to pay for it, which is nice. You'd rather have them admit to a problem and recall it and pay for it than they never admit to the problem and you just it breaks on your end and you have to deal with it. At least they pay for it and they fix it. So, I mean, the context matters. I guess the details matter. Obviously, you would wish you'd built a product that never has a recall and is, in good shape. And I mean, electric cars just have way fewer moving parts, so less things to go wrong than a gas car. But Toyota is on the upper end of cars, quality wise, and them having 7 recalls in 3 years is kind of a lot. And I know trucks, they get kind of whacked on trucks with an import tax called like a chicken tax. Old thing to favor domestic truck production, basically. It's like a tax. Okay, interesting. Mobile techs. I love mobile techs, yeah. I mean, way more convenient to have someone come out to your house on your schedule and just fix your car. I'd take that every time than having to drop my car off. So as much as they can do on that front, great. Yeah, do that. Self recalls. Tesla was forced on a like a chip. This was, I think it was just an S's and X's. It was like their entertainment systems had like a bad, like a memory card that just didn't last very long. And once it failed, it caused like widespread problems with the car. And they were charging people a couple grand or $1,000 to fix it. And, it was like they really should have done a recall for it, but they really didn't until regulators got on their ass about it. So that was an example of them not doing the right thing until they're kind of forced to. But then they did after that. So, just like any company, Tesla's not going to be, I believe Elon when he says they try to do the right thing, but they're not always going to do the right thing. And, you got to still watch out for them being a little greedy on certain things. And even if, you believe that the buck stops at the CEO and he's going to keep things as fair as he can, not everything necessarily gets to him, even if that is the case. So, like for example, the safety score. Elon was asked that question. He didn't even know what a safety score was. Um, so that it'd be a good thing for him to know if he's basing his whole FSD beta access, which is going on, it's expanding tomorrow in a big way, and it's based on the safety score metric. And he hasn't even seen what he drives a car. He should know what his safety score is, so he has a way to measure, is this thing make any sense? And he doesn't even know what his safety score is. So I was so glad that question got asked. It was kind of like probably meant to be like a fun question, but it turned out being a very important question because that is an oversight. Because some people are complaining that you can get a high safety score for this FSD beta thing, but the way you drive, like an old lady basically, is actually unsafe compared to how you're driving so slow and holding up traffic, you're pissing everyone else off around you that they're going to rage, drive and cut you off and, scream at you, brake check you, go nuts, that, it's just because, that might not be the best way to drive. But it gets you a high score, and you want to get on this beta so people are driving like that. So I wish that, I hope that he hurries up and takes a look at that, and that should change a lot because, I've seen some stuff and I would be pissed off. Sometimes faster is better. Like if you're next to like a truck and it's like, well, your safety score will get dinged if you hit the brakes or you speed up all of a sudden because that's aggressive driving, or it's like unpredictable, chaotic driving. But then again, getting away from a vehicle that's like 10 times the weight of your vehicle is generally a good idea. You don't want to stick right next to them if you don't have to. Yeah. If you get into a car accident, more time you are not on the road. Yeah, I'm not sure how to take that. I don't get it. Because it depends on what you're referring to, the beta score or insurance, Tesla insurance, which is going to be used for, or what. But yeah, there's some frustration with that. I understand they need some rough metric because they don't want these first drivers should be more on the careful side. So it's not a bad idea. And so he admitted it's going to be fine-tuned over time, which is fine. But I would like him to actually take a look at it. Yeah. And yeah, Tesla service, I'm sure it's still, But I mean, is the service anywhere else that much better? I mean, service everywhere kind of sucks for cars. Like, who's happy with their car service? If anything goes wrong in your car, no one's happy. And, the dealership, usually they want to, try to get out of, doing work, even if it's covered. Maybe some do a better job. Maybe the luxury brands a bit more. They have a higher margin. Or maybe they just rip you off more. It's hard to say. You'd have to actually look at some, anecdotes is one thing. More of those would help, but some real numbers on satisfaction scores or like a poll or some actual service numbers that don't depend on people's feelings is best. So it'd be good to see something like that. I wonder if I just I might just skim through this just for a second, just for a couple minutes, and just to remind me of what they were talking about. So yeah, this woman came on, I think Robin, is her name. I think she's been around for a while. She sounded a little bit nervous, maybe. When I first saw her, my thought was, move the microphone in front of your face. You know, you'd get better. And the sound quality, they started on time for this meeting, which was impressive. I was like, okay, they're making an effort to start on time, because last couple times they didn't. It's not a good look to be starting late. They said they're going to start at a certain time. They should. And this time they started right on the dot when they said they would. But the audio was like super low, so there was some technical difficulties with the audio volume was way low, and they had a couple people Zoom call in. You know, you can never control for that because it's on the other people with how their setup is. One guy was pretty in and out with his connection. But yeah, she was a little nervous, but she was overall good. Good messages about kind of where the company was. So look at her walk off there. Careful looking down, make sure she doesn't trip. She's a little dumpy. Makes it back to her chair. This guy comes on. He's been the dude you hear from first a lot of time. He's good at rattling off a bunch of stats and stuff, investor-y things. He has, I wonder where he's from. He definitely has an accent. But yeah, she did an okay job. This guy usually does a pretty solid job. They went through the some people calling in. You had an Irish or Scottish Catholic Church representative coalition woman call in, and I think that was about diversity. Something like ecological impact, actually, like in the supply chain, which seems kind of crazy to rail on, the one company that's doing anything to clean up our transportation and energy sectors, and this was like all about holding them accountable all the way up their supply chain. And she had the hell of an accent too. She was like Scottish, right? I'm thinking like Scottish dwarf, like. Aye, laddie, your supply chain be needing some work. Your cobalt, the children in Africa not be doing too well, lad. I know that cobalt. But he gets asked this question a lot, and the truth is cell phones and laptop batteries have tons of cobalt compared to the batteries they use in cars. And no one talks about that stuff. But they like to go against Tesla for it. So you had a lot of like these kind of people, the tinfoil hat part of me thinks like, is someone funding these groups to just like try to slow down Tesla? Or is it just misguided people? Or is it people who they have a good cause, they want more diversity, and they want more, being green in the supply chain, all these positive things, but it adds more bureaucracy, which could be inefficient and slow things down and have a net negative result if you believe they're actually committed to trying to do the right thing on their own. And, maybe are they getting themselves a job? They're like, oh, stock holders should vote for this independent, council of people to determine if their supply chain is green or if they hire enough women or minorities. And that means that, who is this independent group? Do they have ties to them? Are you going to receive monetary compensation from this happening? Are you going to be somehow involved in that? Or your company that's lodging up this complaint? What are the business relationships there? So could it be that someone's arguing for like a bureaucracy type job for themselves, securing them a wage for this thing? Maybe it's a possibility. I believe that like more diversity is good, and they were bringing up some stats like, yeah, when you have more women and you have people from different cultures, it's good, and they tend to do better, and it's true. But the devil is in the details. So I would really have to look into that to see if I would support voting for something like that. Because you don't want to not just take the best applicants and have like a quota where you're like, I have to fill these with X women, X minority. I think I like some of the German stuff where they do include the workers they have more interactions with executives and are able to bring up ideas and have more flow of equal power there, which can have net benefits, positive benefits on the business. And I would like to see, because like, a guy who does, the same repetitive thing 1,000 times a day is gonna, if it bothers him, he's gonna have some ideas on how to improve that thing. So you should probably listen to him, and versus some guy who's like graduated Harvard, and he's like, yeah, I mean, we could make an extra 2 cents per unit if we do this and blah, blah, blah. But, they don't have a bunch of idiots outsourcing and just, looking at pinching pennies at Tesla, thankfully. They're more engineer focused. But, so this guy goes through them and, vote is what the board recommends, yada, yada, yada.
Comptroller of the City of New York, Representative Michael Garland, is on the line to present the proposal.
Comptroller, that's the thing you don't hear about a lot. Comptrollers, right? They actually are really smart people, have a lot of power, and it's like, how the hell do these people become, like, what is a comptroller?
City pension funds are long-term successful shareholders with roughly 1.3 million.
Okay, so he's involved with the pension funds.
Nearly $1 billion of capital at risk. Our proposal calls on the board to assign responsibility for strategic oversight of human capital management to an independent board committee that will, 1, review corporate policies and practices on principle, strategy, and management of workforce-related matters.
So that's his clout, is like, I control like these pensions and what they invest in. So, we can invest, or we won't invest in your company maybe if you don't do this. And human capital management is, I think this is like, I don't know if he's going more for like workers' rights.
Increasingly focused on the essential role that effective human capital management plays in creating long-term shareholder value, and to the material risks created by poor human capital management.
Yeah, for sure you don't want like
exhibited by Tesla.
People getting. Oh, he's really shitting on Tesla there. It's exhibited by Tesla, poor human capital management. I'm not sure I believe that, because they're not unionized and they get a lot of crap for that, but they do give stock out to their employees, and anyone who's been working at Tesla for any length of time, especially over the last couple of years, will have made more money off of just their stock than they would have made per hour working there, whether they're hourly or salary or whatever. They made a lot of money. Actually, they had a lawsuit recently, and a dude sued Tesla for some like people around him that were like negative to his race and stuff, but yet he convinced his kid to work there, and the kid did end up work there after this, and they had good follow-up on when he made a complaint. Management seemed to listen to him, and there's record of that happening, and they did do changes, and they laid off some people who were problems, but this guy still did go to trial and got a lawyer. They made over $100 million out of this. So I kind of see it as, maybe if he wasn't given the opportunity to cash out so much, my God, that's a lot of money. That guy's set forever. It's hard to resist that, even if you were happy with how they handled things. My God. When it fired a union activist, interrogated and disciplined workers, issued a new restriction in response to workers exercising their labor law rights, and by threatening. Yeah, so this is a pro-union guy. Whoops.
And we urge all Tesla shareholders to support proposal.
And I'm sure they had some stuff that were they don't want to deal with a union, so
and independent.
I'm sure. Oh, this is the Irish. This is the woman.
Assessing the extent to which Tesla is effectively fulfilling its responsibilities in respect to human rights and engagement in responsible sourcing.
Human rights, ahoy-toy-toy-toy.
Today, I challenge the Tesla board and shareholders
I challenge
to
you
apply the same efficacy, efficiency, and high quality
to
standards
the
to
quickening.
supply chain, from source
I will
to
be the
factory
Highlander.
showroom.
I will be the last
Tesla's
survivor.
And creativity excel in its latest models, which delight the consumer. 2021 is the International Year for the Eradication of Child Labour. The UN Agenda for Sustainable Development seeks to end child labour in all its
Tesla
forms
doesn't have
by
child.
2025.
Well, okay, that's what they're saying. I think the only place you can point to child labor is some cobalt coming out of Africa, and that's what they're really working hard to eliminate that.
To respect human rights.
But all batteries have cobalt, and Tesla batteries have way less of it.
Including suppliers. Pope Francis in May 2019 urged that
let's hear what the Pope has to say.
At the service of the human person and their inalienable
Human person,
not vice versa. Having human rights compliance at the center of your activities, we ask that you acknowledge the harm done to people and planet through your current.
It's funny here. She loses her place. She's got like another page. She's like, oh, next page. Oh, where's my speech? Okay, there it is. The world needs much more. You've done the harm, Tesla, and you have to tell the world, admit that you've done all this harm.
To advocate for better regulation and a just enforcement
you have to do better.
Of existing laws by all duty bearers.
You're going to save millions of lives a year from stopping the world from turning into a flaming hellhole and all our crops failing because they can't grow anymore and food gets expensive and the oceans rise and all the fish die and people die from cancer and lung diseases and heart diseases from breathing in all the fumes from the cars and the diesel and all the other shite out there. But you're not perfect, so just admit it. You still suck. I mean, come on.
Please note that this is the final opportunity.
So she's going after Tesla here, and it seems a bit excessive. I'm sorry. It's a noble cause, milady. But it's a bit... You're going after the wrong... You're barking up the wrong tree, lass.
Based on the proxies that we have previously received, I'd like to announce on a preliminary basis that our stockholders have approved the recommendations of the Tesla board on all agenda items except item 2.
I slacked on this. I tried to vote last second and I didn't quite make it. It took me a little while to figure out how to do it live, and by the time I did, they just closed it as I was about to click the button. Oh, by the way, anyone who's into AMC or GME, Tesla is using computer shares to handle their stock certificates, and that is what everyone who owns the meme stocks, AMC and GME, to screw over all these illegal short selling, they are direct registering shares with computer share now because they believe that will show that more shares have been bought than should exist. Therefore, fake shares were made up and sold into the market to artificially lower the price of those stocks. So I think it's a pretty baller move that Elon and Tesla are using that same company, which is like a company that's been around for a long time, to handle kind of share like registration type of things. And something tells me it's not just a coincidence. You know, Elon knows what's up, what's going on in
During the
social
course
media.
of the following session, we may discuss our business outlook and make other.
So blah blah blah. Here's Elon.
Welcome to the annual shareholder meeting.
Elon comes out, a little stiff as usual.
Austin, Texas.
Starting off, gets in a little,
Fantastic year.
couple little jokes.
Great work
Did
with
make me
the team.
laugh a couple times pretty
I'd
hard.
just like to start off by just thanking the Tesla team for the incredible work.
I don't know if most people would have laughed at the parts that I laughed really hard at. Probably not. But Elon just gets me. You know, he gets me really hard in these like certain ways.
We have record vehicle deliveries as
So,
we reported this.
Yeah.
But you can see that there's
This is like Elon starting out as like eyes down, like no eye contact Elon, like this is this and yeah. But he throws in some pretty cool. I like how he refers to shit because it is like
looks like we have a good chance.
it's like so far removed from how other people analyze things. It's like this could be like a fast-moving object, like velocity-wise. The chips.
So hopefully this chip shortage will alleviate soon. But
All right. Later, Rovian.
of being able to
Thanks for
do
hanging
something
out.
like this, at least above 50% for quite a while. The Model 3 became the best-selling premium vehicle globally. So of any premium vehicle,
I wish I had figured this out live because I would have just reacted to this live as I watched. I'll do that next time though.
but I mean, I almost got arrested at one point for claiming that we'd do 5,000 a week.
I would like more background on that, how he got arrested. What was that, like a Twitter thing? Like the SEC?
Laughing now.
He was laughing now.
Why will be
I love how he says SEC is
the
like
best-selling vehicle
should
of
stand for suck,
any kind globally.
Elon's, and then C word.
Three.
You know,
Um,
he's put that out in
I think we've got a
tweets.
good chance of it being the
It's
best-selling
pretty
vehicle
hilarious for
of
like a
every
CEO of a huge
year.
company to say that about the SEC.
Quite
And I
likely to
think
be the best-selling
people who
vehicle
look into them at all,
of
or the short
America.
enrichment council or something, short seller enrichment council, because
Basically,
yeah, it's
we
like
need, Austin to get on
they
board and
they
grow
don't do
the
what they're
one
supposed to do.
originally
They're just like
represented the
taking handouts from people who do illegal things.
cash
Yep, keep going, doing what you're doing to screw over the markets. Just pay us our little bit, or pay the toll.
Things were looking a little dicey, to say the least, in 2017 and 2018.
Yeah, they're burning through a lot of money.
But we got through that, and now things are looking really good. So
I love this how he throws in these kind of like
and
comments on.
as you multiply unit volume times autonomy.
I don't even know how to say it, but just kind of reflections on like what he's thinking or what he's doing at the moment.
I think over time you'll see all manufacturers will make electric vehicles, and eventually all manufacturers will make autonomous vehicles.
The interesting thing about listening to Elon is there's always, even if you listen to it twice in a row, there's always new things.
Such a significant lifesaver and preventer of injuries that it is not a technology. we
Like
want to keep to
the stuff he
ourselves.
says, it tends not to be.
Be, morally right to license it to other manufacturers if they would like to use it.
It seems to be well kind of thought out, even though he's off the cuff. You know, it's pretty. So this is where he talks about licensing FSD.
And of
So
course,
obviously people are going to be happy about that
lot
being a
of progress on
possibility,
cost reduction.
and that's on the
So
overall good
our average
train
selling
there.
price actually going down significantly because with the introduction
Gross
of
margin going up is big.
These were much lower priced cars. We've managed to still do
And
well on gross margin.
I wish
So
they had put
this is,
competitors' gross margins on here on vehicles because that's way higher
gross margin up is
than like
but we've managed
Toyota
to
makes
do that.
or Volkswagen, etc.
Yeah.
They don't make that much per
Good.
car.
Our goal really is to make the cars as affordable as possible.
Some make
We're seeing
very little margin per
significant
car.
cost pressure in our supply chain, and so we've had to increase vehicle prices.
And yeah,
temporarily, but
so they're gonna.
to actually
That's gonna
reduce
look
the
good for the
prices
next quarter.
and make them more affordable.
But
So,
yeah, obviously we want them
unfortunately,
not to be super expensive and no one can buy the cars.
Flying parks around the world is just not great. But
Yeah, obviously it's going to be expensive. They're paying to fly stuff around. They do need a lot of batteries.
That's what the shirt means. Very obtuse. But we
can also
are gonna
speed
need a lot
this
of
up.
batteries, and this is going to be a combination of batteries from our
Funny with
and
Elon,
our
you could speed things up and it doesn't make a.
just ask me outright, are we
He's
gonna
not too fast.
put them out of business or something? I'm like, not at all. As many cells as you want to make and supply to us at an affordable price, we will buy. No limit. I'm like, oh, okay. So like, do you want to increase by 100%? Sounds good to me. So the basic plan is
Look, it's like Elon talking like a normal person's speed.
ordered a lot of batteries from suppliers. Basically, telling suppliers
50% faster.
go as much as you can make, we'll take. And we'll prioritize batteries for vehicles, but then use any excess cells that we have in the Powerwall and Megapack. Because over time, we think the demand for stationary storage is going to be at least as high as the demand for vehicles. So
Yes, we would love to see them put more into stationary storage.
and so you need batteries to buffer that power.
Batteries are the key. It's the spice that must flow.
Solar and wind, those are the primary stationary batteries and electric transport. And if you have those three, then you have a sustainable energy future as long as the sun is shining. Yeah. So
Sun is shining.
I like it as an idea, and by the way, I think it's totally doable. But there's a giant fusion reactor in the sky that shows up every morning.
He was hinting that suppliers are also making improvements similar to them on the new battery cells. So I wonder if they're sharing patents, if they're sharing their technology, their improvements with suppliers. I know they have a problem with talent trying to be stripped away and, steal proprietary secrets like that's happening with Rivian right now. And they actually have a lawsuit against them for employees taking documents with them and, presenting them, I mean, that's been going on forever, corporate espionage, especially in the car industry. I mean, they're always stealing things from each other.
The fundamental good of Tesla, I think, is by how many years did we accelerate sustainable energy?
This is pretty important here. So it's I hate how this stupid stuff pops up when you pause. No, I'm looking to try to understand something here. I don't want your stupid... Anyways. So path to reduce CapEx, capital expenditure, by 2/3. 2/3 cheaper, 70% or 66%. They put it up to 69 because, of course, Elon, 69%. Haha. 69.420% to be precise. Is huge for new production, new factory production. And having the pack cost per vehicle 50% also great, but the new capex, and you've been seeing that they're getting way more efficient with building new stuff out. That's great. That's a great sign for. That's why they're turned into a money-making machine.
Cells, they'll make cells. We'll use them all.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, there's no way they're going to be able to produce enough cells themselves. Like, they'll still want as many cells as possible from suppliers.
Way to think of the value of Tesla. And so if we are able to accelerate sustainable energy by more years, that is good.
I would think that they will be able, obviously, their own batteries will be cheaper. They're not going to be paying, they don't have to pay a profit to a middleman. But they're still going to make money off of the batteries they buy from suppliers. They're still going to have enough margin where it's going to be worth it to them. And they're never going to be able to produce enough themselves where they'd rather just make their own and cut out the suppliers. Suppliers obviously worried about it. He said they even straight up asked him, are you going to put us out of business? And he's like, no, we'll buy as many as you possibly can make. And I think I buy it because the world needs so many freaking batteries as we go electric now. Just the cars and the storage. Yeah. So it's good. It's good for everyone in the industry. It's more jobs. It's a colossal task. He talks later about the whole fleet. We're still only producing less than 1% of the whole fleet of electric vehicles today, and it takes like 20 years, for a car to die. So there's a lot of work ahead. Units of Pentagon.
there's a lot of, I think, interesting stuff in our impact report. We go into, I think, quite a lot of detail on all things we're doing. And Tesla is certainly a company that tries very hard to do the right thing in all respects. We try very hard to do the right thing in all respects. We don't always succeed. But if you're looking for a company where you say, is that company really trying to do the right thing? That is Tesla.
I buy it. I buy it that he's trying to do the right thing.
Okay. I mean, anyway. So, so as I was mentioning, the 3 parts of
possibly he was hearing about the these activist people putting forward these shareholder vote things were all about them doing the right thing more. So
electric vehicles and electric airplanes and boats and whatnot. So yeah, great. Yeah, and then the average life cycle emissions in the U.S. This is only going to get better as we move to a sustainable energy grid and electric vehicles. Then obviously we move to a fully sustainable energy economy, which is
obviously it's a huge difference in emissions.
Can there be a carbon tax? I mean,
triple, quadruple.
So people sometimes say like, "Oh, carbon tax that would benefit Tesla." I'm like, yeah, but it would hurt SpaceX. So how about the carbon tax, which really needed?
69 tons of CO2. He got in 69 again. It's freaking hilarious. That's the lifetime tailpipe emissions of an average 2020 made vehicle in the U.S. Lifetime is 69 tons for a new car. Obviously, old cars make way more. 69 tons of CO2 per car, huh? Each ton is 2,000 pounds, and gas is pretty light. So 69, 70, 140,000, 150K, 1,000 pounds of carbon dioxide gas. That's a lot of carbon dioxide gas. If you had to look at volume, how many football stadiums would that fill? That would be a good, I think, shock people with a measurement like that. You should always have different ways of visualizing amounts and measurements. Because this is it's a little too easy to not realize what this is, not have an impact on people. Just like when you talk about trillions, people trillions is their brain shuts off. It's whatever. It's a big number.
CO2 is an extremely stable molecule. Mars's atmosphere has been primarily CO2 for billions of years. It's extremely stable.
Mars.
Sometimes people worry about methane. Do not worry too much about methane. Methane quickly breaks down into CO2. Methane is not a stable molecule. CO2 is extremely stable.
True, but methane is a short term, heats things up very fast, which is also not great.
Your lithium and your nickel and the rest constituents of the battery from rocks or
rocks, yeah. So methane can lead to a lot of CO2 release. For example, if all the ice in the tundra of Russia melts and there's all this trapped methane in there, and that it all gets released, and it's like a feedback mechanism. That still could be very bad. We still don't want a lot of methane released. Maybe he's trying to be easy on natural gas here.
In a house with no lights, no power, no heating, no internet, couldn't actually even get to food stores.
What is the? See, I hate when they show graphs and there's no units. A graph. The first thing you learn in statistics is any graph, any chart is shit without units, because it's so easy to manipulate a chart. If I can make up a chart on anything, and if I wanted to skew it a certain way, I can make it look however I want. I don't think Tesla is doing that in this case, but just as a common rule, you should always show the units. This is 150, 200 of what? Millions of events, hundreds, thousands, what? And reported electrical disturbances. Is there some threshold for this to be a reported electrical disturbance? Does it have to affect 10,000 people? There's it just aggravates me.
As went on for several days.
Yeah, obviously Texas sucked with the power was out, people had no food, it was cold, they had no heat. It was shit. Shouldn't happen in America. And they were cutting corners, and yeah, we need solar and batteries.
So in factory safety, we made huge improvements on factory safety. We're now 18% better than the industry average. So this is great.
It's nice. It's not amazingly better, 18%. But
once it's in steady state, then the injuries naturally decline.
And I wonder if who they look at at industry average as well. Like, I would like to see it compared to union industry, because they get criticized a lot about not being unionized. So if they have less injuries than the people at the Ford and GM plants, that says something.
Tesla is as much a software company as it is a hardware company.
So if that was true, if I was there, I would say, okay, look at that, because that would shut up a bunch of the anti-union people. If you're able to point that, hey, they made more money with stock options. We gave them stock. They make more money with that. They're injured less.
As you can see, it's basically
on
the y-axis there.
You just show some data here.
That's the AI applicants increased dramatically.
See, this was interesting because look at how short this timeline is. This is just not even the full month of August. So this is before, obviously, no one's applying. You had AI Day, and suddenly they had replies. I could see why they don't want to show exactly how many applications they're getting. So they don't put a number here because they want to keep that secret. But once again, chart with no numbers. And it would have been interesting to see what happens afterwards, because this is a long time ago in August. I would like to see how long that interest stayed high and what, how quickly it fell back down. I assume if they don't show it, it looks like shit. So if I assume that if they don't show it, this quickly, sharply fell back down. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know, but I'm going to assume that because they didn't show it. It does say 100-fold more applicants compared to the prior week. So it's really easy if you have a very low number to say, oh, it's 100 times that. If you only had one and you got 100, that's 100 times. But, it depends on the context and if that's actually a lot. AI qualified people working in AI software development, it's not a huge number of people are even qualified to do that. So it's still, good no matter what. And this was their main goal of AI Day. So it does seem, still positive overall. But once again, no units, very short, selective data here.
I always have mixed thoughts about AI, and we've got to watch out for AI being a danger. But it's happening either way, so I guess if we have to do it, try our best.
AI is coming. Skynet is coming. Hopefully, Elon Musk is the equivalent of John Connor in the Terminator movies.
We're moving our headquarters to Austin, Texas.
This is kind of expected. They're having the meeting from Texas, laws, regulations, taxes, it's all going to be better.
So just to be clear, though, we will be continuing to expand our activities in California. So this is not a matter of sort of Tesla leaving California.
It's funny that he says leaving California, I'm sure. I know that's going to be a negative headline, for sure. He says it's not about us leaving California, yet you're going to see some headline news articles going to be like, Tesla left California. Guaranteed that's going to be a headline for an article. And just the fact that he said it, that's excuse enough for the scumbags to put that out there.
It's tough for people to afford houses, and a lot of people have to come in from far away, and so we'll take it as far as possible.
Good point. Affordable housing, huge problem.
Here in Austin, our factory's like 5 minutes from the airport, 15 minutes from downtown.
And I hope that gives it more attention.
We're going to create ecological paradise here on the because we're right on the Colorado River. It's going to be great. So
it makes me think they're going to turn into like some crazy like Japanese Zen garden like park deal around there, and I bet they will. I bet it's going to be beautiful. That's pretty awesome. It's so he jumps right into the questions. It's kind of like it's so quick.
Okay, so
if people were expected to answer, it'd be like, oh my god, my brain would freeze up. But this is to the shareholder questions that were put out ahead of time. Pretty good questions this time.
So this year has been just a constant struggle with.
See, this is how excited people are about Cybertruck. That's the first question.
Because we were just basically limited by multiple supply chain shortages, like so many of so many types, not just chips.
Okay, they have supply chain shortages, yet they just had a record number of deliveries. So in a way, it invalidates itself because they were able to deliver more cars and produce more cars in a period of time than ever before, despite this chip and supply chain shortage. And they didn't exactly, they don't have any these new factories weren't producing anything yet. This is what they already had. China is still ramping up a little bit, so that's probably a good chunk of it.
Let's see, will we do a stock split?
But yes, still, yes, good point.
At some point in the future, but I think we'll not quite do that quite yet.
Not quite do that quite yet. How high does he want to go before he does a stock split again?
Well, we see 46.8 battery cell production.
Makes me think not 1,000, maybe 1,500 or higher.
Texas this year, but we are making 4680s in California at our pilot plant, which is a big plant by normal standards. It's like capable of 10 gigawatt hours a year. So it's just a mile away from our vehicle.
Right, 10 gigawatt hours a year.
Basically,
I wish they would ask them how many gigawatt hours do you have stockpiled, so we could figure out how many cars they can make with the batteries they have right now with the new cells.
From the point at which a factory is able to start making cars to where it reaches high volume production is typically about a year, and that's considered very fast. So,
and they did that with China.
It takes longer, or at least in Tesla land, it takes longer to build the factory than it does to reach volume production once the factory is built. Like in Shanghai, we built the factory in 11 months, but to get to high volume production took about a year. And so I expect something similar here. We'll start production this year, and I'm confident we'll deliver some cars from Giga Texas this year.
I'll get through this faster.
We won't reach high volume production until probably the end of next year. But then I also expect we'll reach high volume production in the 4680 cell here in Giga Texas next year as well.
That is great news.
More factories.
More factories. It's like, it's so obvious, more factories. It's not that easy.
Or whatever, it's like 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. But I think for high volume production, it's like 99% perspiration.
I think he just repeated himself there. And he mixed something up earlier.
Berlin and Austin, and expanding in China, and expanding Fremont. So
basically says it's easier to expand these new factories that are being built now. They could just add on to them. They bought a lot of extra land around them, which is a good thing. So the main thing is that they have a factory on each continent now. They have one in Europe, they have one in China, they have two in America, and crucially they have a newer version of factory that's more up to date with the new things they figured out in America, in Texas, which is cheaper than California. So now they got a good base where they're going to build off of it in the near future.
We don't currently have plans for dividends.
This is funny.
I feel like the time when a company offers dividends is, it's kind of cresting the hill.
Cresting the hill. It's dead. It's going out the pasture.
We've not run out of things to invest in internally by a long shot.
The company is going to the old folks' home, and that's not Tesla.
Quarterly update on energy along with automotive. Yeah, I mean, we need to make more progress on energy.
Basically, they don't want to do it until energy looks like it has good numbers to present every quarter, but it hasn't recently because they've been limited on talent and parts have all been going towards the cars. So hopefully they're going to be catching up with battery production next year. But these new factories have to ramp first with the Model Y. So once they do, middle of next year, end of next year is when it's going to start to look more positive energy.
So we're Model 3, we try to get the...
He's okay, fine. It's like, it was supposed to be Model E for sexy, and we changed it to 3 because Ford sued us, so it's not 2. And he totally blows this question off then. Fuck, it sucks.
Gigafactory is getting bigger with each iteration.
I mean, they should have just specified, okay, I guess the $25,000 car instead of the Model 2. It's like the wording that screwed you there. Because if you would have said, just talk about, is the timeline still there for the $25,000 mass production car, compact car, we would love to hear more details about that. That's coming up. But now with Cybertruck getting pushed back, I would only assume that gets pushed back as well. So that was maybe as early as 2023. We heard maybe out of China first. Now is it 2024? Because, probably 2024, if not 2025. But no clarification at all on that. And probably he doesn't have much to offer because it depends on how chip, supply, I guess, goes next year. So, whatever.
Bigger with each iteration, I think. But most of them they'll get more advanced and more efficient, but
Max capacity. This is a good question.
yeah, most of them they'll get more advanced and more efficient. And looking at sort of taking a first principles approach to manufacturing, you want to look at the volumetric efficiency of a factory and the average speed. Kind of like the log equation, where delta V is like exhaust velocity times the log of the start to end mass ratios. So I think it's something similar to that for a factory. And you also think about like a chip. Like, do you make chips
Clock speed.
get more out of chips by making them bigger, or by bringing things closer together and increasing clock speed? And actually, I think there's tremendous opportunity in factories to actually bring things closer together and increase the cycle time.
So he's basically leaning towards we want to improve these factories for a while, not just pop up new ones. But their capex is low. It's going to be low for new stuff, as we said. So
Mass Tesla will copy is manufacturing, and so I think that will be the long-term advantage of Tesla.
I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe not until that next model of car, though. I don't know if that would come out of Texas. Probably, though, if they have plenty of land. So
It's hard
probably.
to, you've got to basically recruit people, you've got to like train them in the right way, and this just takes time.
But to really pump out enough, they might want to make another factory, 2 per continent. Then, when the cheaper car comes out, would make sense. Along with the truck and the semi, anything else.
So, and the excellence of an engineer matters tremendously. There are the huge differences in engineering talent that are boggles the mind.
I love that. That's awesome how he's saying there's like, one engineer to another is a huge difference.
It's like we should obviously. So that does concern me. Like I think we could do a better job of
This makes me think I have a chance of getting hired by Tesla, being very non-traditional. None of the CV stuff you should have, like no top school or anything, but maybe they want to get oddballs in. Tesla minibus van camper, because Volkswagen dropped the ball. I'm bringing back the EV minibus. Tesla van would be used as a camper, would be amazing. Yeah, for sure. It's kind of funny. It's talking crap to Volkswagen.
The original VW sort of bus. That was really cool. And I haven't really seen the new one, but I think over time Tesla will make basically all major variants of vehicle. So why not? One in every significant category, I think. Yeah. Right.
One in every significant category. That's important.
So I guess people can see these slides, right? So I don't need to read the question. Yeah, I think we're actually making rapid progress with solar roof. Solar in general and energy in general got kind of shortchanged for a couple years there because we're desperately trying to make the Model 3 and reach volume production.
So once again, they just don't have the resources for it yet.
So there's a couple years where we just
also expensive. Figuring out installation was much more expensive than they thought at first.
I think we're now making rapid progress with
They're doing better with production, making it cheaper. Installation is still a challenge.
the most efficient way to get a solar roof is to put it on put a roof on once.
New homes, so new home construction with solar roofs. Definitely.
So we now have relationships
Does make sense. Yeah, they're going to work with new builders.
gather significant momentum, and then we're going to have a campaign which is kind of like, well, dating myself here. I want my MTV. So I want my solar roof. Where is it?
I want my solar roof. This is the song we heard early in the stream.
Because then you generate your own power, and you can help stabilize the rest of the grid using a Powerwall. And we're doing this in partnership with utilities. Like the thing that I think people need to appreciate is that there's a lot more electricity production that needs to occur as we move to an electric vehicle future. For 2 homes where both cars are electric, the electricity usage will approximately double. And so if you don't have local power production at the homes,
So one car doesn't double your home energy usage, but 2 cars will.
it causes these massive waves in the
So one car would do about 50% more.
the grid. But those batteries can then act collectively to stabilize the whole grid. And that's software that we've developed that is
Grid stabilization, it's huge, very valuable to the electrical grid and to utilities.
electricity at the homeowner level. This is essential.
And to homeowners as well. They're just not used to it. They don't know what it can do for them yet.
And if you transition heating to electric as well, it approximately triples. So this is a lot of work both at the local level of electricity distribution and at the utilities. Utilities got to expand, and there's got to be solar and batteries at the homeowner level. But having a Tesla solar with battery means that you have power no matter what. If the utility shuts you off,
Yep.
for any reason, you still have power.
Yeah.
Here in the
I love it.
blizzard. It's like I was staying at a friend's house, but he didn't have the solar roof and battery, so I'm sitting in the dark, in the cold. And I was like, okay, really brings home the need for the solar roof.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Yeah.
I think solar roof will see massive growth in the years to come.
Massive growth.
Turn out tomorrow night. Yeah.
I think it's
This is
very
something
bright
for
future
next
for
year,
it
but,
too.
We're gonna start rolling out the FSD beta to all customers with a perfect safety driving record tomorrow night at midnight California time.
Talked about the safety score thing earlier. He's addressing that.
If that's looking good, then we'll there's like a little over 1,000 people that have a perfect score. Then we'll start giving it to people with 99, 98, 97, and so forth. We'll probably have some cutoff. It's like 60%. I don't know. It's going to be we're looking at people who are extremely conscientious drivers for the beta program. But it's looking really good. I actually drove here from my friend's house I'm staying at in Austin.
60%, I guess, would be a D on your
all the way from
normal scale.
house to the Gigafactory with no interventions. So perfect drive. Yeah.
That's cool. No intervention FSD drive. But was he happy with how it handled the whole way? Was it stop? What did it go through? Did it go through stop signs? Unprotected left turns? It still has trouble with some stuff. And it needs the gas. You just step on the accelerator pedal, which is okay for this, as it is now.
Basically, it'll be a while because we've got to extend the fleet. So the fleet of cars out there is gigantic. There's about 2 billion cars and trucks in use in the world.
Basically, you need a full-size electric fleet before you don't need new mining, and you could just recycle.
100 million a year, roughly, which kind of makes sense. Like cars and trucks tend to last about 20 years before they go to the junkyard. So that's an important statistic to bear in mind. Like even if all cars were and all vehicles were electric tomorrow, it would still take 20 years to change out the fleet. So I think people you see a lot of noise and sort of stories about electric vehicles, but the fleet is what matters. And still, it basically rounds down to nothing. If you look at total fleet of vehicles on Earth, and
Less than 0.5% would round down to 0.
I don't know, probably 30 years-ish, 34 years. Yeah, it's not bad.
30, 40 years. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Only 30 or 40 years.
Misunderstood out there. Lithium is extremely plentiful. It is one of the most plentiful things on
Well,
Earth. It is not
with
rare.
Tesla around, if there was no Tesla,
If you said, where can we get
triple
a battery
that.
doesn't have some lithium in it, you would have a hard time.
or we'd never make it to make electric vehicles. Society would collapse because of climate change.
Everywhere, so lithium everywhere. So that's not an issue. Also, lithium is only like maybe 1 or 2% of the cell, and so the actual thing that matters is the cathode. Most of our our long-range vehicles use a nickel-based cathode, and sometimes people think it's a cobalt-based cathode. No, cobalt is used in phones and laptops, but we use nickel because nickel has higher energy density for long-range vehicles. But for standard range vehicles and for stationary storage, I think all of that will move to iron-based iron cathodes. Iron is also extremely plentiful. Nickel is
I heard there's some problems with iron, possibly with colder climates,
more iron than there is nickel.
but
So
they'd last longer. It's less degradation, long life cycle, so your batteries will last, kind of forever, which is great. And you can charge it up to 100%. Doesn't hurt the battery.
it's just a question of making all the equipment to kind of process that into a cell.
It's heavier, so weight is a big thing with electric cars. For stationary batteries, no problem.
So how many years before Tesla's first off-planet factory? I mean, I'd like to see one before I'm dead. That'd be cool.
Hopefully, Tesla robot factory on Mars.
Yeah, basically. That'd be great.
Caveat: will he discover life extension technology with Neuralink? So this could be hundreds of years from now. Could give himself an out.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'll check. I'll check because I think it's. I might just got turned on. Yeah, good. I'll find out. By the way, safety score calculation is obviously imperfect. That's why I try to emphasize very much that it is beta, if not alpha, in safety score calculation. So it's going to get
Very important. See, he should know what his safety score is because
accuracy substantially over time.
he should. This is important the way this gets rolled out. So he should really know how the score system is working. Not super happy about that.
Here's the thing we do with grid system here. In fact, Tesla is doing a number of projects in Texas. Tesla.
Oh yeah, Tesla is. They got a license, I think, to be part like a utility in Texas. So that's pretty awesome. It's a good kind of example of what they could do to the greater world. And Texas is just a mess, so they need a lot of help.
Particularly on a summer day or winter day, if you've got electric heating or electric cooling.
You have non-federal utility grid where they're just cutting corners to make as much money as possible and screwing over their customers. Not great.
In order for power if a power grid has no sort of energy storage buffer, then it's as resilient as the worst second of the worst day of the worst year. So that's obviously not great.
Worst second of the worst day of the worst year.
And then people start using natural gas for heating, which is kind of what happened in most of the people were using the gas to heat. Then the peaker plants didn't have the gas. Like, okay, the batteries would work great. So if there'd been Tesla megapacks here during the blizzard, the power would not have gone out.
The power would not have gone out if there were Tesla megapacks. That should be a headline. Hopefully it is.
Target capacity for the megapack factory. No, I don't actually know what the target capacity is, but it's big. Okay, 40 gigawatt hours.
Phone a friend.
Actually, that's an example of where we are expanding. Also, where we're expanding manufacturing in California. So
40 gigawatt hours. I don't see. I'm not that great with the units. No one is. They should like translate this stuff so people can understand if you're not electrical engineers.
Yeah. So, like the degree in which insurance is a regulatory labyrinth is insane. It was like designed to be hard. It's killing you. But it certainly is very difficult. So there's a zillion applications, and you have to wait for a bunch of time, and it's long and complicated, and a lot of it is state by state. Most of it is state by state. So,
in a way, I wonder if insurance was designed this way, state by state and complicated, so that it forced competition, because it's just so difficult for one company to handle it. I mean, they still do. You have big insurance companies handle it everywhere, but it forces them to have like local stuff and local offices and maybe more competition that way. Does it keep it more fair because it's set up that way? Interesting idea.
We want to have the same kind of real-time insurance where your insurance costs are based on your actual driving history, which is like
they want real-time data, which is good if you're a good driver, but it could be scary if suddenly, oh, you're driving fast today, so your rate went up, today. Hopefully that wouldn't be really bad for a whole month, It's like, it's intruding into my privacy a little bit. If I want to drive fast, I don't want to get screwed on insurance. But I guess bad drivers, if they know they're going to get screwed by Tesla insurance, they just go to one of the traditional insurance companies. The ATV. The ATV that can't roll.
You gotta have one of those Cybertruck.
Hell yeah, I want one of those.
I'll take one last question. Yeah. Oh, what about electric planes? Yeah. We have a lot on our plate here. But electric planes. Yeah.
Too early.
Honestly.
Yeah, way too much stuff to do.
We got quite a few fish to fry here. So maybe one day the electric plane. Battery energy density is improving.
So he's like been dying to do this for like 10 years though. So if he's that into it, he's gonna get to it eventually.
And have a pack efficiency around 400 watt hours per kilogram. That's when.
I don't know why they don't do boats first though. Maybe just because he's into, rockets and like, that it's similar the stuff you're dealing with. But I think boats would be a lot easier and practical for shipping and stuff. Got their Texas logo now, so yeah. All right, well, this one pretty long. Thanks for if anyone did stick with me. Thanks for doing so. Hopefully you found this entertaining. Thank you very much. If you like this, consider giving it a like and subscribe. Share it with a friend or something. Yeah, Tesla's awesome. They're changing the world in a good way, and you can get behind them, feel good, and the business is going to be doing very well over the next into the near future and the long far future. And it's a very what kind of opportunity do you have to invest in something that's like it's more of a sure thing now because they've proven themselves, but they're growing very fast. They have a lot of growth ahead of them into the biggest markets in the world. The most money available to come out of it, out of anything, energy, transportation, human labor with the Tesla robot down the road, all of human labor capital. So where do you get that kind of opportunity? Tesla is very unique in that way. So it's a company that you can feel comfortable investing in as something that still has a lot of upside, and I don't consider risky. Some people do, but I think it's just because you don't understand what they're doing and where they're going. If you really look into it, I think you will end up with the same kind of confidence that I have for the company. So that's just me messing around a little bit, figuring out live streaming with the OBS, and talking about the Tesla meeting here. So thank you again, and have a good one. Later.